So this is cosmic. This is cosmic. This one right here, and this is Astronomy Daily Live. So this is a hello. Okay, I'm back. Uh, I dug this old microphone uh, out of a box, and it's got some problems. It's got some problems. So this is Astronomy Daily Live. This is a live daily stream on YouTube, coming at you every single day at 2 hours UTC, Universal Time, Coordinated Universal Time. And I'm just going to go through my usual doodah here and get myself set up. I can only do this after the live stream starts, so you're just going to have to bear with it. Watch all the monkey business going on while I load up the chat here. There he is. Hope everybody's doing okay today. As I said, right as I started, yay, Arion 5. I'll get into that momentarily. Hey, Warnock69XXX, what's going on? What's going on? Hope everything's well with you. I'm going to pop the chat out. Hope the sound is okay. I'm going to, now I'm going to load the live stream on my smartphone and make sure that the audio there is okay. It seem okay? Yeah, that seems all right. That seems all right. Great. All right, so yeah, this is Astronomy Daily Live. Thanks for stopping in. Those of you who are live viewers, and those of you who are future viewers, hello from the past. Hope everybody's doing okay today. This was a good day. We had a little bit of excitement this evening with a rocket launch, an Ariane 5 rocket launch. Just happened a couple hours ago, and the rocket launched beautifully, absolutely fantastic. No problems with the launch at all. But right after the first stage separated and the second stage fired, they lost telemetry with the second stage, which means they lost communication. The communication was just cut, right? Just gone. And so, that can mean a lot of things. Well, it can mean at least two things. The first thing that it can mean is that something in the telemetry system, either on the second stage or on the ground, failed, or the rocket itself failed, probably catastrophically. And so a little while after this loss of communication, loss of telemetry happened, I think the flight director for Ariane made a short little speech, which was nothing more than an apology. It's like, we're sorry. He was apologizing to their customers, saying, we're sorry, but we lost your satellites. Now, that's jumping to conclusions, of course. because the conclusion there is that you know, boom. Um, so it was sort of a dismal thing for a little while there. Um, you know, for reasons that you don't want a rocket to fail. Um, that's no bueno. Um, and it's a lot of money lost. It's a lot of time and effort lost. A lot of people go into making these rockets go. As the saying goes, space is hard, and it's going to be a really really long time before we can sort of confidently launch rockets, even though we've been doing it for over 50 years. Um, it's really, really, really hard, and um, mainly because these things are so complicated. It's just they're complicated, and when you have a lot of pieces and parts, um, of which uh, maybe even just one failing. Hey, Bob Dog, how's it going up there in the Great White North? Hope everything's well. How was that? And I'm going to get back to the rocket launch, but how was that earthquake excitement up there the other day? That earthquake happened just a couple hours after the show. Um, did you feel it? I mean, something of that magnitude, I would think you might have been able to feel. Um, but yeah, being on the coast as you are, don't know how far inland you are, but we looked up your location on Google Maps, and it gave an elevation of 11 meters, and the at least the initial estimates for the height of the tsunami wave was like 10 meters. So Bob Dog, I was thinking about you. I was sending good vibes the whole time. So yeah, that's that's not only one of the risks of living on the coast. It's life is risky. So we're all here, just sort of jumping off of cliffs. So, but I'm glad. I don't think the tsunami turned out to be as large as was first estimated, and so yeah, all the tsunami warnings have been false, so I grow to ignore them. Okay, yeah, it's sort of like I grew up with air raid sirens because I was on the West Coast, and so they had a an air raid siren test I think it was every Wednesday at noon, and um, you know, even then, okay, even as a little kid, I did not pay attention to what day it was, and for the most part, I still don't. I got to be a little bit more responsible now, so uh, I usually do know what day it is, but back then I just didn't pay any attention. Wednesday at noon would come, and you know, it's almost like every single week I was outside playing and didn't know what time it was, didn't know what day it was, and I would be um, you know uh, it's not that it scared me, it's that it just startled me and freaked me out because it's like somebody coming up behind you and going boo. So, but yeah, I'm glad you're all right. Did you feel the earthquake at all? Was it close enough to actually get a sense of that at all? That'd be interested. But Yeah, you're on the waterfront, so woohoo! Yeah, yeah, pretty exciting. Pretty exciting. You know, my recollection is that tsunamis weren't really even mentioned until that big one in Indonesia several years ago, and then it's all, at least I heard about, was tsunami after tsunami after tsunami. So sort of sounds like uh, these warnings took place quite often. Is that sounds like true? Yeah. He's trying to sleep, couldn't notice anything specific except being woken up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow, wow, pretty big. All right. Well, anyway, back to the rocket. There was a rocket launch a couple hours ago, and it was an Ariane 5, and right after the second stage fired, they lost telemetry with the second stage, which means they lost communication with it. Could be at least a couple of reasons why that that would happen. Either communication system on the spacecraft or the communication system on the ground failed, or um, some kind of catastrophic event. You know, the fact that the loss of communication occur, sort of coincided with the firing of the second stage, sort of draws you to a conclusion, right? That oh, it maybe we had some kind of a catastrophic event. What do they like? Um, uh, like an unplanned disassembly, something like that. Boom, right? So either the flight director of Ariane or the head of Ariane, he came on and just gave a very short um, speech, um, basically directed to their customers. There were two satellites on this launch, and he he apologized. So that didn't sound very good. That didn't sound very good at all. It's like, oh man, yeah, it's probably gone, right? Boom. Just before I came onto this live stream, it's like, oh, I should check, I should check, and what I do for the news now, just I just Twitter and do a search for the topic I'm interested in. So I just did a Twitter search for and got word that yes, indeed, they did lose telemetry on the second stage, but the ground controllers for in charge of the two satellites uh, uh, did did gain communication with the satellites and found that the satellites were in exactly the right orbits that they were supposed to be in. So yes, yes, that's pretty amazing in in two ways, right? In two ways. First is sort of the bad is you look, you don't want to lose telemetry on your rocket. Okay, you don't want to lose communication um, with your rocket. You just don't want to. Okay, so when you do, it's like holy crap. Okay, what happened? Probably the worst happened, which means boom. Okay, um, uh, but the other side of that, look look at the accomplishment of the engineers. Not only the structural engineers, the mechanical engineers, the electrical engineers, but the software engineers too. That rocket was completely autonomous. Okay, totally alone, no communication up or down at all, and it delivered its payload perfectly. So thumbs up, thumbs up, man. That is very, very, very cool. It just did it totally on its own, and it delivered the satellites awesomely. So yeah. So what are you saying here, Bob Dog? Poker Flats Research Range channel on YouTube has been having live streams lately as they try to launch for Super Soaker mission. Super Soaker mission. I haven't heard of that. I haven't heard of that. I'm gonna Google that right now. Hold on. You know, there's so many things that I don't know, but you know, Google is our friend, right? Super Soaker mission. I'll do that. Super Soaker mission. Are these suborbital? Let's see. Maybe you've already told me. Launches from Alaska, the diffuse X-rays, local galaxies. Uh, yeah, so sort of a suborbital, in that, at least according to this article that I'm reading from the NASA webpage, got up to 100. The payload flew to an altitude of 145 miles. So, yeah, Bob Dog, never I've never seen a large rocket launch. As a kid, I had some model um, rockets, which were extremely cool, but I was on my own rocket in terms of astronomy, so I was pretty focused on just astronomy. The rockets were great. Um, Sort of out of my price range too. So that was a major showstopper. If I wanted a model rocket, had to acquire the dollars to get them. So yeah, that as a kid, that's oftentimes a limiting factor. But yeah, so I've never seen a rocket launch, and for sure, I want to. Um, the SpaceX launch that launched out of Vandenberg um, last time, uh, I would have seen. Was I watching? I think I was watch. I don't know if I was watching that launch live or not. Don't remember. Don't remember exactly. But if I would have known, um, I I would have been able to go out and see the plume that was in the news uh, so much the next day or the next few days. So, um, but yeah, these associated clouds to show source of height. Yeah, 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 very cool. Yeah, it looks like they had they had a payload on there to some kind of X-ray telescope. It looks like too. They were looking at uh, diffuse X-rays. Um, yeah, awesome, awesome. Yeah, so I've never seen a live rocket launch, um, and I think if I would have seen the plume from this last SpaceX thing, mm, I don't think that counts as seeing a rocket launch. Uh, yeah, I need to be there. I need to be able to feel it. I need to be able to hear it. Um, Apparently, it's quite spectacular. So yeah, I think that's definitely on my list. Um, if I ever will, you never know. But I have been to Kennedy Space Center, just as a tourist, and so I saw the Saturn V there, and I saw the shuttle mock-up, and went out to sort of the touristy place to look at Pad 39A. There was no shuttle on it at the time. The shuttles were still flying, but there was no shuttle at the time. I don't think I saw any of the shuttles there. Um, Only time I saw a shuttle was when I was working at the University of Arizona. Um, there were the shuttle had landed at Edwards Air Force Base in California, and when it lands at Edwards, they have to fly it back to Florida on top of a 747. So they actually put the shuttle on top of another plane and fly it back. But it just so happened that there were like this major, big, huge storm over in Texas. So they had to land in Tucson at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. And we, of course, knew, um, when that was going to happen. And at the time, I worked at at the at the tallest building on campus, the Gould Simpson building, and so at the appointed time, we ran up to the roof, and Davis-Monthan from the university is only a couple miles, so planes come in really, really, really low, like seriously scary low, and uh, yeah, it seemed as though we could almost touch the shuttle. So I don't remember which one it was. I want to say Atlantis, but I'm not quite sure. This was pretty far back. This was like 1991, 1992 or so. So maybe Atlantis hadn't been built yet. Don't remember which one it was. Easy enough to find out. Doesn't really matter. Never seen a rocket launch. Want to for sure. Probably I'm going to have to make a special trip though. Either Vandenberg is closer to me than Florida. There's also going to be some launch sites in Texas as well. That's maybe about as far from me as Vandenberg. So I don't know, but definitely want to see at least one, probably more if I can. Um, but I would imagine that the suborbital launches are pretty awesome. Are pretty awesome too. And if I were to see a suborbital launch, that would count as seeing a rocket launch. But I would definitely categorize that as a suborbital launch and not an orbital launch. It just doesn't have quite the oomph, right? So that's all pretty exciting. Yeah, and sort of a testament to the people on the ground who build these amazing machines and make them go. That's very, very awesome. It's very, very awesome that was a success, in that the payloads were delivered delivered. So Bob Dog, what else is going on? Anything on your mind tonight at all? Astronomy Daily Live is a circle of friends, right? Get away from the TV and the news for a while, and join a circle of friends here. But astronomy for an hour or so, and you can be a newbie, you can be an amateur, you can be an advanced amateur, you can be a pro. You are welcome. You are welcome here. Definitely, the more people in the circle, the more interesting the conversation. You just don't have to listen to me, yak, yak, yak. I definitely don't mind doing that in any way whatsoever, especially when it comes to astronomy. Um, I'm generally a pretty quiet person. But this is a live stream, and you definitely are going to be quite uninterested if I just sit here and stare at the screen. So let's talk astronomy. That's a subject dear to my heart. Um, Extremely passionate about the whole thing. I've been into astronomy ever since I can remember, and I have been involved in every single aspect of astronomy uh, possible. Um, so yeah, I can speak at any level. I definitely don't try to condescend or anything. So if you're new um, and have a question that you think is a dumb question, it's all I can say is yes, there are dumb questions for sure. But if you have a question that is well intentioned, then it ain't so dumb. If you're questioning to antagonize or to be a pain, yeah, that's kind of dumb. But if your intention is sincere, um, I don't care what the question is. I reserve exactly the same right, to ask well-intentioned dumb questions. I do that all the time as a scientist. Um, that's my job is to ask, those silly questions, those childish questions. So yeah, I'm totally into that. Oh, you saw the eclipse? Yeah. Bob Dog, I have I have not seen a total eclipse. I've seen an annular eclipse. There was one in I want to say 1993. Um, just really near my location. So it was super easy to drive south a little bit. It passed over Baja, California, and um, through southern Arizona. You know, and So I've only seen an annular eclipse. So technically speaking, that's not a total eclipse. Although I think I sort of got at least a pretty good sense of it. I mean, it was, I mean, as you know, um, experiencing a total eclipse is a very unique experience. It's sort of one of a kind. And even though I did not experience a total eclipse, it was an annular eclipse. I I I got it right. I mean, I got that feeling, and it was awesome. It was very awesome. So, but it's very cool that you were able, to get um, down there and experience, totality. I was thinking about making the trip north, um, but mm, couldn't really justify it. So believe it or not, I couldn't quite justify it. So mainly because I'd seen the annular one, so it's like off the off the list to a certain extent. But yeah, um, really glad you saw it. That's those are cherished moments that are experienced by millions of people. It's a shared experience, which is awesome and powerful. Yeah, yeah. There's yeah, you can look that up in terms of when eclipses are happening, and sorry to say, I don't think that there's anything in your neck of the woods uh, for any foreseeable time in the future. Um, there is going to be another total eclipse going through the continental United States. I think that's in 2024, if I remember right. But it's sort of going. I think it's sort of going in the east or the southeast. I think the closest it gets to me is maybe Texas. So maybe we'll see how it goes. I'm not, it's not now that I've sort of mostly experienced a solar eclipse. Um, uh, I don't feel as much pressure to go out of my way to do another one. Definitely, definitely is on the agenda, but it's definitely not something that I think I really, 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 really need to do. Now, if I'd never seen total eclipse, yeah, I would be thinking pretty. I would have thought really hard about 2017, and I would have definitely thought extremely hard about 2024. As it is, I'm sort of thinking about 2024 and going, I should look at the path of totality and see how close I can get and all of that. Um, uh, yeah, you at at your latitude, you've got some pretty long days though. Yeah, is that? I mean, it's what you're probably up around like plus 52, 53, something like that. So you've got relatively long days. I grew up latitude about 47, Eastern Washington, and at that latitude and at yours, technically speaking, and I should do the math on this, but I think that this is correct. Technically speaking, you do not uh, during the summer, at least, you do not leave twilight. You're always at least in astronomical twilight. Yeah, latitude along that. Okay, yeah. Low intensity light. So yeah, it's you know the thing is that if you like where you are there, then it doesn't matter. Stay, stay. I mean, if you like it, stay there for sure. Um, yeah. So anything else on your mind, Bob Dog? I've always got things in my pocket here. So this show is for everyone interested in astronomy at least. I'm going to go back to my screen here, my little description thing. ADL. So yeah, most conversations I would like to be directed by the group, who's here, and that's me, and I'm Bob Dog, and looks like maybe somebody else just jumped in. Let me fly over to the chat and see. No, I don't see anybody chatting yet. Um, but yeah, this is a circle of friends that are talking about astronomy for an hour or so every single day, 2 hours UTC. Um, I'm in southeastern Arizona in the United States, and that puts me on Mountain Standard Time, which is 7 hours behind Universal Time. So 2 hours UTC for me is 7 p.m. So that's why if you look at the description or the title of the stream, it's if you live in the United States, at least, it's always dated tomorrow. So, this is dated the 26th of January, which for me on Mountain Standard Time is still tomorrow. But in Greenwich, England, where uh, where everything starts, it is it's now 2:34 in the morning on the 26th. So, um, there's a lot of concepts in astronomy that are confusing at first, and one of them is time. Um, but if you think about it like this, and that is there really only is only one time, and that's now. It's all there is. But we have to, because at least supposedly we're on a sphere, um, probably. Um, we have to set sort of an arbitrary longitude that is sort of the starting point. And uh, there's an interesting history to why Greenwich was chosen. Definitely check that out. This is not a history of astronomy channel, although it does have to do a lot with astronomy, of course. Um, uh, but yeah, check that out. So Greenwich, England, it was decided was going to be the starting point, and you divide, the sphere of the Earth up into 24 chunks, and if you do that, you get 15 degrees per chunk, 360 degrees all the way around. Divided by 24 is 15, um, and so yeah. Um, that is the 24-hour day, and either you're in front of that line or you're behind that line. And in my case, I'm behind that line by 7 hours. So here it is. It's now 7:36 p.m. local time. Bob Dog, I think you're a couple hours behind me, so you're 9 hours behind UTC, and so what? It's like 5:36 p.m. your time. So very, very cool. That's how that works. So that's why the dates are confusing, and you know um, if if I mean, viewers who want to get onto the live stream but can't figure out exactly when, um, they're gonna have to try a little bit, because I'm sorry, I cannot tell you what time, local time, I am on. I can't, because I don't know where you are, nor do I want to. That's sort of a privacy thing. So I mean, I'm um, uh, yeah, I'm not going to pry like that, unless for a good reason. And you know if you're new to astronomy, time is very, very important. And so getting into astronomy requires uh, a relatively decent understanding of time. So consider this your first little test. Um, it's sort of the initiation into the circle. How about that? Yeah, yeah. I'll go ahead and do that. Yeah, just make a screen overlay showing the whole thing, and yeah, then it would just be absolutely positively clear that way. So all right, well, cool. Let me move on a little bit into my blabbing here. So, you know, if as I said, I carry a lot of topics in my pocket, but conversations here in the circle can be, Q&A. We can talk about observing, or gear, or telescopes, cameras, and other kinds of instrumentation. There's spectrometers, there's photometers, polarimeters, combinations of all the above. Um, uh, lots of different kinds of instrumentation. Specialized stuff, like adaptive optics. Uh, I I worked on a lot of adaptive optics stuff early on, and now it's almost the norm. Uh, Back when I um, um, started in that, it was just a dream. It was like, that's not going to work. It's not going to work. But we tried and we tried and we tried and we tried. We got it to work, and now it's almost standard, almost standard. You just sort of, you know, flip a switch, and you've got your adaptive optics running, which eliminates a lot of the blurring effects of the atmosphere. And yeah, we can talk about that at some point, because I'm heavily involved in the early development of all of that, and so I've got I, I've got a lot of knowledge in terms of my own experiences with that. But let's talk about what astronomers do. What professionals do, um, what amateurs do. Um, let's talk about analyzing data and doing the research, doing the hard work. Um, let's review journal papers. Journal papers come out every single day, and that really is the bleeding edge of this science, are the published papers. And online you can access um, um, accepted for publication papers before they're published. It's called a preprint, and you can get those for free online every single day. There are 25 or 30, depends, new astronomical papers, professional level. So they're pretty heavy read, uh, but usually have some at, at least some pretty cool pictures. So if you're new and sort of feel overwhelmed when you are looking at a pro paper, um, don't sweat it too much. Look at the pictures. Just I mean, and this isn't a condescending thing, because we have to start at the beginning when we're learning stuff. And when we were kids, right? We were presented with picture books, and that's how we started to begin understanding what things were and what the relationships were and blah 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 blah, right? So do exactly the same thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. You have to start at the beginning. So pull up a journal paper that is completely over your head, right? And look at the pictures. And most of the time under the pictures, um, there are captions, right, that sort of explain very, very briefly what the picture is about, what it's showing. A lot of pictures are complicated. They have a lot of, well, um, either images or plots or lots of different things. Read the caption, see what you can get out of that. If nothing else, I find um, a lot of the pictures in journal articles to be quite beautiful, quite artistic, and I actually get a lot of inspiration that way for my own art, because I look at the colors and I look at the contrasts and I look at the shapes and all of that, and it's like, wow, that's really really neat. And these authors, I mean, I'm an author of um, co-author or author of many papers, and I never I never considered the pictures or the plots that I made as art, but hell yeah, that's exactly what they are. They're that's a representation and an interpretation of reality, and if that's not art, I don't know what else is. So very very cool. So look at the pictures. The other thing that you can do, in the article itself, and you're going to have to search around, right? In the article itself, they will refer to the pictures or the plots or the tables. Um, so hunt around a little bit, see if you can find a reference to that picture, say, that you're looking at, and it'll give a little bit more explanation, and see how you do there. See how you do there. And um, but just looking at the pictures is a great place to start, and just appreciating them for um, what they are, and even if what you're reading is over your head, and maybe even what you're seeing is over your head, if you want to get into this, um, uh, that won't be a struggle or something painful. That'll be like a really really cool challenge to begin to understand uh, these things you're talking about, right? Man, I've got to. I dug this old mic right out of a box um, to to give a little bit more clarity to the audio, and it's it, uh, last night was my first night using it, and it cut out a few times. You'll also notice that I don't have a mic stand. I mean, I call myself a musician, and I don't have a mic stand. So how screwed up is that? Uh, so anyway, I've got to hold it, and I've been holding it with my left hand this entire time, like very tightly, and so my hand is like, ow, ow, ow. So yeah, pull those out. Um, and as I just mentioned, let's talk astro art. That's a great thing. And pretty much anything else that this circle of friends wants to talk about. As long as there's something about astronomy in there, I am definitely up for it. Faux show, faux show. Um, yeah, as I said too, get away from the TV for a while. Get away from the news. Let's talk about some cool stuff. And yeah, all right. I'm going to move on. There was at least one site that I wanted to make you aware of, um, and it's something that is really, really, really uh, to astronomers, and that is the weather. The weather, and having a sort of a reliable forecast that is geared towards the astronomer. Um, well, such a thing exists, and I'm going to share my screen here as soon as I type this in. It's a site called cleardarksky.com. Darksky.com. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm not going to stop the broadcast. I'm going to share my screen to infinity and beyond. I'm going to hide that. Look at that. It just keeps going and going and going. I just absolutely love that. So clear dark sky. Cleardarksky.com. Hope you can see that. Audio is okay. It looks like it is. Good. Good. So from here, I haven't been on this main site for quite a while. Okay, so just click on the clear sky charts, and that will bring up sort of a clear sky chart up here. And this is actually, a real one, just not an example one. But, it's for a location called Williams Lake. So what you can do is you can go down here, and you can uh, sort of a. I'm just going to. Well, yeah, I can do this because this doesn't give my location away. But as let me back up one. You can you can definitely enter your latitude and longitude and all that, or you can search for a city, something like that. I'm just going to go to the closest site to me, which, as I said, I'm in southeastern Arizona. So the closest site to me is a site called SCAC, and that is the Chiricahua Astronomy Complex. It's owned and operated by the Tucson Amateur Astronomy Association. Some awesome group of people. Shout out to them. TAAA.org, TAAA.org. Awesome group. Very active. Lots of pros are also involved, which makes it really cool because you get to see all the stuff that they're doing and talk to them about it and all that. So that's very cool. So this is the forecast for basically my location for the next 48 hours. 48 hours is really the furthest out you can go with any kind of reliability. Um, Once you get out past 48 hours, the models really start to fall apart because this is all prediction, right? This is not, you're trying to predict the future. So this is all a prediction, but it's a pretty good match. Sorry about that. It's a pretty good match. Um, so what this shows 7 different things. The first one to most astronomers is sort of the most important one, and that's if it's going to be cloudy or not. So this scale sort of goes from dark blue to white. Um, did I lose it? I don't think so. I think I'm still all right here. Am I all right? Did anybody give me any warnings? I haven't been looking. Okay. Looks like the mic is on. Yeah. Okay. Very cool. I'm using the wrong mouse to move around. Yeah, I'm here. Cool. So yeah, seeing a sort of a measure of atmospheric turbulence, um, and or like moisture in the air. Um, that's going to to distort uh, the images of whatever you're observing. Um, So yeah, and of course darkness is just exactly what that says. So it's just you know, during the day it's not very dark, and at night it is dark. So that's pretty easy. It's also showing wind speed, humidity, and temperature. So, and what you can do also is you can click on any of these boxes. I'm going to click on that one because it's sort of the brightest of the blues in the cloud cover thing. So I'm going to click on that, and that pops up a big map and marking my location, or at least near it, down there. And as you can see, at least according to the forecast, I'm supposed to still have some high clouds over me. So that's I've found these clear sky charts to be pretty reliable. Um, it's impossible to predict the weather, um, and the further out you try to predict it, the less confidence you should have in that forecast. So, these 5-day forecasts and these 7-day forecasts are total BS. Total BS. Um, uh, yeah, I mean, the confidence level at a 7-day forecast has got to be less than 5%. I mean, you just can't be that confident that far out in time. So these clear sky charts, they go out 2 days, which is probably a stretch, but that's okay, because all this will move, right? All this will move, and you'll have the same window of time here. Uh, yeah, been pretty reliable. So no complaints there whatsoever. But you can choose, location. There's everywhere. Um, this is just Arizona. Here's Alaska. Since you mentioned you're in Alaska, we can just sort of see here. Here it all is. Ding 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 ding. All of them. But yeah, very very cool. Hey, I've got a friend who wants to come into the room, so I'm going to exit for just a moment and let this precious little thing in, and I will be right back, like 10 seconds. We cannot let the kitty wait. Kitties do not wait. They definitely do not wait. Right, so that's one of the things I wanted to just sort of point out, that this additional resource is available, and pretty reliable. So our little friend is going to join us here too. You probably won't see her because she's climbed into my lap now. Okay, she's down for the count, and so am I. So let's see, what else did I have on my agenda here? Oh, I need to mention this, and I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the show, and I didn't. My mic. Am I back? Okay, I'm back. Hey, technology is hard. Anyway, uh, so 2 hours UTC on the 28th, canceled. Canceled. I will be out going to a sweat lodge. As I was saying, um, if you have an opportunity, now sweat lodges aren't for everyone, but if you have an opportunity, I encourage it. Um, uh, if you know, check them out. Do a little bit of research. They if they are done correctly, there is absolutely no problem whatsoever. On the contrary, on the contrary, you will feel almost reborn. It's very very cleansing on many levels. Um, very very nice, very very nice. So I will not be here. For me, that would be Saturday night, the 27th. So that live stream is canceled. Not going to happen at all. Also wanted to alert you to the fact that there is kind of a rare event that's going to be happening over the next few months or so. We are coming up on the 31st of January on the second full moon of the month, which is commonly called a blue moon. It also turns out to be that there's going to be a lunar eclipse that evening as well, um, and it's also what I call, and technically speaking, this is what it is. It's called a perigee moon. A lot of people call it a super moon. Um, Perigee is just the point in the orbit of the moon as it's going around the Earth where it's closest to the Earth. And as an object, I mean, as you know from common experience, um, as something gets closer to you, it appears larger and larger and larger. So it's a perigee moon slash super moon. So it's going to be a little bigger than an apogee moon. Apogee is the opposite of perigee. It's the furthest away from the Earth. It's the point in the orbit of the moon where it's furthest away. So apogees and perigees happen every single month. But for the perigee to sort of align with a full moon as well, that makes it a little bit rare. Um, it happens. It happens at least once a year. Mm, yeah, I would say I think pretty much at least once a year. So they're not incredibly rare. What's rare is what I'm going to explain now, and that is, so there's a full moon on the 31st, okay, and then there is no full moon at all in February, and then there's a full moon on March 2nd, um, UTC time, early on March 2nd, trying to prevent this kitty from crawling on the screen. She's after what I have in my hand. You want to see what I have in my hand? Now I'm making this a little bit more dramatic than what it probably is. I just received this as a gift uh, from my wife, and for some reason I absolutely love it. I like to hold it. I like to look at it, and for some reason even stranger, this kitty likes to look at it too. And here it is. Here it is. So this is a piece of wood. It's some kind of wood, like a hardwood. And see, she absolutely loves it. Um, that's carved into the shape of a coffee bean. So I think this is very awesome. I don't exactly know why. And as I said, it's a complete mystery to me why this kitty loves this thing too. The only thing I can The only thing I can think is that she and I are very connected, and I think we think alike, a lot alike, and so I like this, and so it sort of just stands to reason that she's going to like it too. But I think it's I don't know why I like it. It's just kind of cool, but it's very very strange that she likes it. Anyway, so on March 2nd there's a full moon, and then on March 31st there's a full moon. So we're going to have another blue moon in March. So we're going to have a blue moon in about a week here in January, on January 31st. And then we're going to have another blue moon in March with no full moon in between. And that sequence of events, that is that's a pretty rare thing. Um, and it's one of those things that one that one cannot put on a list because you just don't think of those things until they happen. And so yeah, it's it's very very cool. She's totally in here. I'm gonna put it down there so she can just have at it. It's uh it's so funny what these guys end up liking. It's just the strangest thing in the world. So anyway, a pretty rare sequence of events. So definitely, you don't need a telescope to observe those things. You don't need anything at all. Just go outside and look. Um, the eclipse, you'll have to look around to see if it's going to be visible at your location. Um, yeah, yeah, I'm laughing out loud too because it's just a trip that she's so involved with this carved coffee bean thing. Um, anyway, so yeah, a pretty rare event that we're all going to live through, and yeah, but just kind of neat. It's kind of neat, interesting alignment of things. And in fact, that sort of leads me into the next little topic, another piece of information for you. If you're interested in the apogees and perigees um, of of the moon, there's another site, and let me pull that up. I'm going to share my screen again. Pull that up here. Share the screen, and we're going to go to infinity, and then I'm going to come over here. Dun, 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 dun. Got to sing a little song, and this is, and I'll put this in the description notes. It's for milab.ch. No, I don't want you to chew on that. No, if you're gonna chew, you're gonna go, little one. Yeah, cannot be that much of a pest. .ch. Oh, did I lose something? She wiggled things around. No, it looks like I'm still all right. Okay. Um, .ch slash Earth View slash PA Calc dot HTML. And it's all this is. This just tells you the date and time of the perigees and the apogees. Again, that's when the moon is closest is the perigee, and when it's furthest away is the apogee. And it also shows the new and full moon. So um, if you look here, perigee is on January 30th at 9:55 UTC. Okay, so for me that would be at 2:55 in the morning on the 30th, and the full moon is on January 31st at 13:28 UTC. So that would be 6:28 in the morning at my location on the 31st. So that's not actually that's not very much of a so-called supermoon. Um, they actually show you here this 1 day 3 hour thing. That means that it's 1 day 3 hours behind the full moon. F stands for full, and a negative 1 day 3 hours means it's behind. So I don't really call that a supermoon, okay, or a perigee moon. Look at the one on July 30, on July 13th. Okay, on July 13th, the perigee is at 8:30 UTC, and the uh, and the new moon is at 2:50 UTC, categorized as a supermoon because it's new, it's not full. Kitty, you're really being a kind of a pain here, dear. Oh, let me hide this. Um, but as you can see, that's just 5 hours in front of new. Um, here's and here's an apogee one that is just 14 hours behind full. So really, there aren't going to be any more perigee moons here at all. The one on the 1st of January was sort of the last one. This next off, isn't. I wouldn't categorize that as a supermoon. That's 1 day 3 hours behind. Yeah, that's too far. Too far. It's not really a supermoon. But they're going to call it supermoon, I guess, because it's good PR. So anyway, this is a cool site. Just informational again. It also shows you, as you can see, it shows you the distance. So the perigee is the closest, and look, it changes. So the closest that the moon comes to the Earth, every time it's going around, that changes too. So that sort of indicates a very, very dynamic system where it's not always the same. It's close, 356, 358, 363, 369. They're close, but it's sort of, this is 358 further away, further away, further away, closer, 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 further away, further away, further away. So there's some periodicity there, but it's on a different time scale. Same with the apogee over here. Does that make sense? I hope that makes a little bit of sense. There's there's a lot going on here if you just know how to look at it. So there's some interesting periodicities going on here and interesting stuff. We can definitely get into that as time goes on. One of the really, really cool things about having a daily show is that I feel no pressure at all to try to cover everything, right? We can take our time because probably there's going to be a tomorrow. Probably. So far, so good on that one. So yeah, I will post that in the description because that's sort of a funky URL. Yeah, just another resource for ya. For ya. Well, you know what? I'm going to stop sharing my screen and get back to this mug here. And I think I'm going to sign off for the evening. As I said, the show on the 28th at 2 hours UTC is canceled. I will not be here. I will be elsewhere in both body and mind, and doing a sweat launch, and definitely be back the next day for sure. I will report back at that point, and I guess for now, Bob Dog, thanks for hanging in. Glad that all is well up there. And it doesn't seem like you were physically affected by the earthquake or the tsunami. Although, hey, I would be exactly in the same thought space. It's like, oh boy, yeah, yep. But if you really love a place, um, there's some things that you have to put up with. Here in southeastern Arizona, it's a very benign environment in terms of the climate and the weather. The only thing that we have to worry about here is wildfire, and that's uh, that's not a huge deal, but there is a potential there. We've got some pretty strong winds, and if we have a lightning strike, or somebody either by accident or on purpose, uh, fired gets away from them, could be a problem. So that's really the only physical threat that we have here. Um, the wind can be a little rough, but it's not too terrible. Otherwise, it's a very benign environment. Any of the hurricanes, that come up the west coast of Mexico and hit Baja, by the time they hit the coast, they dissipate. We get some good rain, well welcomed rain, but absolutely no hurricane force winds, not even tropical force winds. We just get a lot of rain, which is, hey, living in the desert, water is the most valuable resource we have. All right. Well, with that, I am going to exit these waters for now. Get get back up to the ship and get some get some hydrogen hydroxide in me, which uh, I did not even bring with me this time. So bad, bad news. Especially since I'm doing a sweat lodge in a couple of days. Got to hydrate. Got to get the water in. Got to be a sponge for the next couple of days. All right, I'm out of here. Astronomy Daily Live every single day, 2 hours UTC, and I will see you in approximately 22 hours. Thanks for stopping by. Spread the word. Make sure to subscribe. Hit that thumbs up, and yeah, share this. Um, Even maybe with people that you don't think might be interested. I think I can make astronomy interesting for everybody. I've been successful with that in the past, and I think I will continue to be successful with that now and in the future. All right, I'm really going to get out of here this time. I will see you tomorrow. Take care.